What is Jevon's paradox, and why efficiency can increase consumption? The intuitive assumption is simple. If something becomes more efficient, we'll use less of it. Better fuel economy should reduce fuel consumption. More efficient lighting should lower electricity use. Smarter technology should conserve resources. Jevon's paradox flips that assumption. First described in the 19th century by economist William Stanley Jevons, the paradox observes that improvements in efficiency can lead to more overall consumption, not less. Jevons noticed this while studying coal use in England. As steam engines became more efficient, they didn't reduce coal consumption. They made coal more economically attractive, which expanded its use across industries. The result was an increase in total coal demand, not a decrease. The mechanism behind the paradox is straightforward, even if the outcome feels counterintuitive. When efficiency improves, the cost of using a resource effectively goes down. That lower cost makes the resource more accessible, which encourages broader adoption. What was once expensive or limited becomes cheaper and more widely used. Over time, that expanded usage can outweigh the savings created by efficiency. In modern terms, the pattern shows up across industries. More fuel-efficient cars can make driving less expensive per mile, which can lead people to drive more. Advances in computing efficiency have dramatically reduced the cost of processing power, but instead of shrinking total energy use, they've enabled an explosion in data centers, streaming, and AI workloads. The same dynamic applies to lighting, heating, and even water use in certain contexts. What makes Jevon's paradox particularly relevant today is the scale at which efficiency gains are occurring. Technologies like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and renewable energy are improving rapidly, often reducing the cost of usage at the same time. That creates the conditions for rebound effects where increased demand offsets or even exceeds the expected savings. It's important to note that Jevon's paradox doesn't mean efficiency is ineffective. Efficiency still reduces the amount of resources needed for any given unit of output. The paradox emerges when those savings lead to behavioral or economic changes that increase total usage. In some cases, the rebound is partial, meaning overall consumption still declines, just less than expected. In other cases, the rebound can be large enough to reverse the effect entirely. For policymakers and businesses, this creates a more complex challenge. Efficiency improvements alone may not be sufficient to reduce total resource use if they are not paired with measures that address demand. That's why discussions around energy, climate, and technology increasingly include not just how to make systems more efficient, but how to manage the incentives that drive usage. Jevon's paradox is less about contradiction and more about unintended consequences. It highlights a simple but powerful idea. Making something cheaper to use doesn't just reduce cost, it changes behavior. And when behavior changes at scale, the results can move in the opposite direction of what efficiency alone would suggest.